Think about the night for a second. That moment when the sun disappears, the sky turns dark, the stars come out. The city shifts its vibe. People change their behavior, and even silence feels different. Now imagine this. What if that never existed? No darkness, no visible stars, no good night, no sleeping in the dark. The sun simply never goes away. Sounds insane, right? But follow me down this rabbit hole, because today we're going to destroy the night. Literally, welcome to Warif. And today we answer, what if night never existed? Before we kill the night, we need to understand why it exists in the first place. Because if we're going to erase something from the world, we better understand what we're actually erasing. Night exists because of one very simple thing. The Earth spins. Our planet makes one full rotation around its own axis every 24 hours. Half that time, one side is facing the sun. That's day. The other half, that same side, is turned away. That's night. But wait, that means for night to not exist, the Earth would have to stop spinning, or the sun would have to be everywhere at once. Exactly, and both options are a complete disaster. But we're going to explore the most interesting scenario. The Earth stopped spinning. One side is permanently lit, the other in eternal darkness. Our focus today is on the lit side, the world where night simply doesn't exist. So, let's go. Welcome to the world without night. The first thing that happens when the Earth stops spinning and one side gets locked facing the sun is simple. The climate loses its mind. And when I say loses its mind, I'm not just being dramatic for the algorithm. The sun would bombard the same spot on the planet continuously. No break, no overnight cooling. Temperatures on the lit side would reach over 175 degrees Fahrenheit in some regions. The soil would crack and dry out. Oceans near the central zone would start to evaporate. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, the side of eternal night, temperatures would plummet to minus 150 degrees Fahrenheit. No animal or plant life as we know it could survive either extreme. The only habitable zone would be an incredibly thin strip between the two sides. A ring around the planet with something resembling an eternal twilight. Sun permanently on the horizon. Interesting, right? All of humanity confined to a ring of permanent dusk. But we don't want a destroyed world. Let's be generous here. Let's imagine this is an alternate Earth that was always like this from the very beginning. That life evolved under these conditions. That humanity was born into this world. What would that world look like? What would we look like? Our bodies are machines synchronized with sunlight. And that's not a metaphor. It's literally biology. Inside each of us is something called the circadian rhythm, an internal biological clock that regulates sleep, hunger, body temperature, hormone production, basically everything that keeps us functioning. And that clock was calibrated by the alternation between light and darkness over millions of years of evolution. When the sun starts to set, the brain receives that signal and begins releasing melatonin, the sleep hormone. When the sun rises, melatonin fades and we wake up. Without night, this cycle doesn't exist. In an Earth where it was always like this, humanity would have evolved in a completely different way. Probably without this light and darkness-based circadian clock. Sleep, if it existed at all, would be controlled by other mechanisms, maybe by the buildup of substances in the brain, like adenosine, which gives that heavy, tired feeling. we would still sleep. But probably not lying down in the dark for 8 straight hours. It's likely we develop ultradian sleep cycles, multiple short naps throughout the day, similar to how primates behave under constant light conditions. And you know what that radically changes? Our relationship with time itself. Today, day and night are our oldest natural markers. Tomorrow, yesterday, this morning, all of that exists because of the transition between light and darkness. Without night, how would humanity divide time? Probably by temperature. The heat and cold cycles of the twilight zone would become the new days, or by internal body signals. But we almost certainly wouldn't have the same calendar concepts we have today. What about animals? What about plants? Nature as we know it depends just as much on night as it does on day. Think about nocturnal pollinators, moths, bats, certain beetles. They exist precisely because some plants bloom at night to stand out from the daytime competition. Without night, that evolutionary strategy never develops. Even flowers would look completely different. Most white flowers exist because white is more visible in the dark. Without night, the plant kingdom would be an even more explosive burst of color. Everything competing for pollinator attention under direct sunlight. And nocturnal animals, they simply wouldn't exist. Owls, cats, jaguars, armadillos, fireflies, cockroaches. Okay, we probably won't miss the cockroaches, but the point is, roughly half of all terrestrial wildlife is adapted for darkness. Without that evolutionary pressure, we'd have an ecosystem that looks nothing like ours. The oceans would change dramatically too. Many marine animals rise to the surface at night to feed. It's the largest daily migration on the planet, and it happens in silence, in the dark, every single day. Without that cycle, the marine food chain would be reorganized in ways we can barely imagine. Now, here's the most fascinating part. What would our civilization look like? Because night didn't just shape our bodies, it shaped our culture, religion, science, and even our psychology. Let's start from the very beginning. The campfire. The campfire was humanity's first great technological achievement, and it exists because there was darkness to fight against. Fire kept predators away, provided warmth on cold nights, and created the first social space in history, the circle around the fire, where stories were told, where rituals were born, where human culture began. Without night, fire would carry far less importance. It might still be used for cooking, but not for light. And that completely changes the pace at which language and oral culture developed. Astronomy. All of ancient astronomy, and therefore all of modern science, was born from people staring at the stars at night. The Babylonians mapping planets. The Egyptians using stars to predict the Nile's floods. Polynesian navigators crossing the Pacific guided by the night sky. Pythagoras, Copernicus, Galileo. Without night, astronomy as we know it wouldn't exist. And without astronomy, the development of the calendar, navigation, physics, advanced mathematics, all of it would have taken a completely different path. Maybe humanity would have reached space in a totally different way. Or maybe we never would have gotten there at all. Religion and mythology. Night has always been the territory of the unknown. Gods of death, the underworld, fear. Almost all of them are tied to darkness. The moon, the sun, the stars. The foundation of nearly every human mythology. The Greeks had Nyx, the goddess of night. The Egyptians had Nut, the personification of the night sky. The Norse believed the sun and moon were chariots pulled by God's fleeing celestial wolves. Without night, none of these mythologies exist. And since religion and mythology deeply shape the morals, politics, and philosophy of every civilization, our entire history gets rewritten. Crime and social control. Here's an interesting one. Statistically, a significant portion of crimes happen at night. Darkness offers cover, anonymity. Without night, would humanity have developed completely different concepts of privacy and security? Would cities be built differently? No dark alleys, no abandoned corners. Maybe power structures would look different. Maybe social surveillance would be far more intense. Because you're never in the dark, and wings spread wide. Digital art, mythology style, dramatic, ultra detailed. What about art? What would happen to it? Night has inspired countless masterpieces. Van Gogh's The Starry Night, Chopin's Nocturnes, horror films, noir, thrillers. All of them depend on darkness as a narrative element. The entire aesthetic of suspense cinema was born from night. Hitchcock used shadows. German Expressionism was built on darkness and light. Without night, the visual vocabulary of humanity would be completely different. And what about lighting technology? Edison's light bulb, which revolutionized the world in 1879, was created with one central purpose: to conquer the night. To bring light where the sun couldn't reach. Without night, that incentive never existed. Humanity might never have developed the light bulb at all, or might have developed it much later, purely as a scientific curiosity. What would that mean for industrialization, for factories running 24 hours a day, for the entire modern economy built on night shifts? It seems like the more you pull this thread, the more everything else unravels with it. There's one aspect I find the most unsettling of all. What would happen to our minds? Night is the time for introspection, for dreaming, for processing the day, for working through emotions. Sleep, which happens in the dark, is when the brain consolidates memories, discards irrelevant information, and regenerates itself. Without that clear cycle of withdrawal and rest, humans would probably be more wired, more stimulated, with less mental space for deep reflection. Would philosophy exist as we know it? Or would it be more practical, more action-oriented, with little room for existential contemplation? And there's something else. Night gives us permission to be vulnerable. In the dark, we cry. In the dark, we confess things we'd never say in daylight. Intimacy has a deeply nocturnal dimension. Without night, maybe humanity would be more extroverted on the surface, but less capable of accessing its own depths. Without night, maybe we'd never truly learn to be alone with ourselves. So, what if night never existed? We'd lose so much more than it seems. We'd lose astronomy, religion, mythology, half of all animals, half of all plants, suspense cinema, the light bulb, sleep as we know it, our sense of time, ancient navigators, Van Gogh, Chopin, and maybe our capacity for introspection altogether. Night isn't simply the absence of light. Night is the dark half that gives meaning to the day. It's the silence that gives weight to the music. It's the contrast without which light would lose all significance. Ironically, erasing the night from the world would be a way of erasing half of everything that makes us human. So, could you live in a world without night? Or would you miss the dark? Let me know in the comments. And if you have a what if suggestion for a future video, drop it down there too. because we're here to break reality every single week. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. It genuinely helps the channel grow. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And share it with that one friend who's always sending you random facts at 2 a.m. They'll love this. This is Warif, and I'll see you in the next one.